Hey, what is going on, guys? Today in this video, I'm excited to share with you my experience of Sony's 85-inch BRAVIA 9 mini LED TV. Now, this is my first experience with Sony in my own home, demoing it, testing it out, and so I'm super grateful for Sony for sending it over, but they also sent over the theater quad as well as the SW5 subwoofer. I'll save that for a future video. I want to test that out in my living room setup. But in this video, I want to share with you my overall thoughts over the past few weeks with it. We're going to do the unboxing. Of course, I'll walk through all the setup. We'll talk about some tips and tricks, things that you might not know about the BRAVIA 9. And then, of course, I'll share with you my overall impressions of the image quality. And a little spoiler, it's pretty stinking phenomenal. So let's dive into the video. Let's get to unboxing. Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we've got a 85-inch Sony BRAVIA 9. So this is their flagship model. This is the XR90. I've never had a Sony in my house, so I'm actually really excited to check this out. So we'll do the unboxing. We'll get this set up. We'll dive into the menu, take a look at the TV. I've got a pretty big room. This is like 25 feet wide, about 15 to 20 feet going that way. And then we've got 12-foot ceiling. So to be able to have an 85-inch on this wall is what I've always had in this home. It fills this pretty nicely. I probably could even go up to like a 100-inch TV, but 85-inch will be just fine. So, all right, so looking at the top, we've got the feet right here. There's one of the feet. We won't be using them in this install. I'll just lay that off to the side. Second foot right here. And I'm mounting it to a Kanto mount. So this is an articulating mount. It'll pull all the way out. I'd probably recommend doing a flush mount. This just gives me the most flexibility. So instruction guide here. On the far left, we've got, I think these are probably to the feet. We'll lay those off to the side. There's a plastic cover, two more plastic covers. Inside that part, we've got the remote, a couple of screws, USB A to C, and a couple of zip ties. All right, so once you get all of that packaging out, we're gonna leave this top piece in here, and then we're gonna lift this box straight up. So, yeah, just like that. So we wanna make sure we don't drop the TV. So we'll lift the box up. Yeah, just like that. All right, if we can, just lay it right in front of the TV. Perfect. This is a pretty heavy TV, so definitely get somebody to help you out. I've got my daughter, my oldest daughter, Rachel, helping out. Got quite a bit of packaging, which is good. That'll protect it during shipping. All right, so behind here, again, more covers for the back of the TV. Lay those off. Got it? These are always challenging if they don't have handles on the TV, so you got to figure out a way to reach down there and grab it. Okay, 1, 2, 3. We'll just put it right in front. Yep. Perfect. All right, now we can get all this stuff out of the way. Now, I laid down a towel on the carpet because the box, you know, it's been in a warehouse, so didn't want to get it all dirty. Yeah, I definitely recommend laying down some kind of towel when you're unboxing it, because the box is definitely quite a bit dirty. Inside the box, these are those little panels, and they only can go one way. So this is going to be, they're labeled on the back. This one's KB. That just snaps in there like that. The one labeled CD2 is going to go on this bottom left. Lift up a little bit because of the carpet. Just like that. CD4 is going to go right here, but first we need to remove this power cable. There's a little, kind of like a zip tie. If you take your finger and just push against this, it'll release. I'll show you once I get it out. So right here, there's a little button. You just push that, allows you to move that zip tie in and out. So we'll get that out of the way. So right here, you can see you've got these little clamps. If you push that in, it lifts up, and then you can take your cable power cable, feed it through there, push it closed, and now you've got some cable management all the way to the bottom. There's another one down here. We'll do the same thing with it. So we'll just feed this wire all the way down, go inside that little clip, and push it in tight. So to remove that, you can pinch the bottom, pinch the top, and that slides out just like that. And once you have that cable tucked in nice and tight, we'll take CD4, push it in the right side first. They've got little grooves. You'll hear a couple snaps. You've got it locked in place. Making our way over to the right side, this is going to be CD3. The grooves and the notches are going to go facing the left and snap it into place. CD1 is going to go down on the bottom. The notches are going to go on this left side right here. I'm going to pull this back a little bit. And it snaps into place. I'm going to leave this last one undone so we can get our HDMI connections and then we can put the cover on. So next we're going to mount the Kanto PMX 700. So we're going to secure the bottom ones first because we know that's where it's going to need to fit on my TV. And these just get attached with 4 screws. You got one down here at the bottom, another one at the bottom. So unfortunately, this TV is going to sit about 3 inches higher than where my last TV was. So my wife will be happy. I won't be so happy. But we have a big, tall cabinet, so it is what it is. So now that we've got the mount secured, this bolt that's sticking out right here, and then these other 2 bolts right here, will align on the mount right here. So it'll be supported up top. Then we can put the nut on the back, put the other 2 nuts down here. We'll level the TV, tighten it down, and it'll be secured. All right, ready? We're gonna go straight up. 1, 2, 3. And we just gotta go pretty stinking high. Just like that. I got the TV. So go ahead and come grab this level. Stand on the chair. So if you will you just adjust it to where it needs to be and then I'll tighten it down. Once it's level, just tighten down the 3 nuts and we're good to go. All right, and push it all the way. All right, TV is installed, but I can already tell my wife is gonna be mad. And the reason being is she likes to put these little dudes like this outside the TV. So let's see if she's got, it's gonna cover some of the TV. No, she's gonna be mad. She already wanted the TV a lot higher. Hey, babe. Yeah, you wanna come here for a second?
Why's that?
I was just explaining to the guys, where it's mounted is slightly lower. I need to get your opinion before we like totally lock this thing down. No, but I'm saying, is that too low for you?
That's fine.
We
If it's
thought.
up, you might as well keep it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's still not a good height.
Yeah, no, I like this better. Before the TV was a little bit higher.
Mom just can't put all her stuff.
Yeah, some of these things may block it a little bit, but we'll see. If I have to move the TV higher, then I'll do that. But that'll be for another day.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, and then we just remove the cardboard. And then the last step, we'll just install the HDMI cable into the eARC input. Now, if you want to, there is one more cover. So you can take this, attach it here, and that's just gonna clean it up even more. But for me, I think I'm gonna leave it off because I don't have enough room to run my HDMI cable through there. So yeah, so we're gonna leave this off. We'll just keep it inside my cabinet. So there she is. So we'll get it fired up and check it out. What's that? What'd you say? What'd you say? I'm gonna leave that in there. Totally leaving it in there. When you turn on the TV for the first time, it's gonna walk you through the typical Google TV setup. And so that's a pretty seamless process. If you already have a Google account, you can connect to the TV through your phone by using the camera on your phone to open the app, go through the initial setup process. And once you're done with that, you'll be presented with the Google TV homepage. So the first thing that I like to do is turn off the clicking sounds And so we're going to navigate to the top, go to all settings, click OK. We're going to come down to system right here, click OK. We'll come all the way down here to system sounds, and we're going to turn that off. While we're here, when you first boot up the TV, it's going to want to add all these power and energy savings. I recommend turning those off. It's just going to deprive your TV of the brightness. So under power and energy, you're just going to navigate down here where it says power saving. If it's set to high or low, again, it's just going to reduce your TV's brightness. Yes, it's going to be more energy efficient, but man, I want to see this thing in all its glory, so I like to leave that turned off. Now by default, the TV will shut off in about 20 minutes. You can always change that to however many minutes you want. Maybe if you like gaming, you probably want to set that quite a bit higher, or maybe even not ever have it turn off. That's totally up to you, but at least that won't deprive your TV of energy. That's just something that'll keep your TV from just remaining on if it's not being in use. So we'll go ahead and go back again. We'll click back one more time. And now let's head up to the channels and inputs. So in channels and inputs, if you come down to external inputs and click OK, and if we scroll all the way down to HDMI signal format and click OK, here's where we can tell it if we want to prioritize it as standard format or enhanced format. In my case, I've got 4K sources, and so like a Apple TV 4K. So we're going to go ahead and turn all of these on to enhanced format. So we'll click back, turn that one on to enhanced, turn HDMI 3. Now, if you're a gamer, there is an option to turn on variable refresh rate. I typically don't game in my living room. I do that in the theater room. I'm a real casual gamer, definitely not hardcore, but this will support 4K 120. In that case, you would come all the way down to this advanced setup right here, and then you'd want to turn on this VRR. But in my case, I don't game out here, so I'm going to turn that off, and then we'll click back. We'll do the same thing for HDMI 4 and set that one to enhanced as well. And we'll back all the way out of that. Now let's come down to display and sound. So here we can see on the far right, we've got picture and sound. If I click OK, that's going to take us into a menu that allows us to adjust a lot of the picture settings. The content type that I use is mostly video, but if you game a lot, there is a game mode here, a PC mode, and so I'm going to switch it back to video. If we come down to picture and click OK, there are a few different picture modes, and so by default I believe it's in standard. In a little bit I'll show you a couple of different screenshots of how these picture modes change, but these are preference. So vivid mode is just going to be really saturated, really overly saturated. I don't really recommend that mode. I tend to like standard or cinema. There's also professional mode, calm, photo, and IMAX enhanced. So again, my two preferences typically are either going to be cinema or standard. Now you may choose to change this even based on the type of content that you're watching. Now when I first turned on the unit, the main menu was pretty dark, and I actually was real surprised. So when I went into the settings here, there was a couple of things that I ended up changing. So under brightness, I went ahead and bumped SDR all the way to max. I didn't mess with contrast or gamma. Black level, I left the same. Black adjust, I've got that turned off. Advanced contrast, I didn't mess with that. But down here, I increased this to high, and I made sure that the peak luminance was set to high. This is going to allow the SDR content to have a really bright and vivid image, which is what I'm looking for. Now there are options to change and tweak the color here. You can change the hue. So if your TV, for whatever reason, maybe has a little bluish hue, you can back it down and adjust that. I typically don't mess with these settings myself, but you can actually adjust these on your own. Even down here, if you prefer a little bit warmer, you can always make it warmer or cooler. I like to leave it on neutral. Down here under clarity, if we click OK, we can add some additional sharpness. I don't like to over sharpen things. A lot of times you'll end up getting artifacts with that. Random noise reduction, I just leave that to default, which is medium. Digital noise at medium. and smooth gradation at low. Now down here under motion, this is going to be really a preference. Now this is going to be another one of those preference settings. Some people don't like any additional motion enhancement, so you want to turn that off. That is totally up to you. I'm not opposed to a little bit, so I may leave it on low, but I certainly don't want to crank this all the way up to high. So for now, I'm going to turn it off. And from here, we'll just go ahead and click back. We'll go ahead and click back. Down here under audio output, I do have this connected to a Marantz Cinema 30. So I've got it set to audio system so that the internal speakers of the TV do not play. Under audio system settings, Sony does have the ability to use the TV speakers as the center channel. In my setup, I only have 2 speakers, external speakers connected to the Cinema 30. And so you may find out that you like to have the TV playing kind of like a fake center channel or a faux center channel. I prefer just to have 2 channels, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. And because I'm using eARC, it automatically added the auto setting here during this setup process, and so I didn't have to make any changes there. So now I can use this one remote to turn on and off my system. The audio turns on and the volume from the Sony will control the volume on the Marantz AVR. From here, we'll go ahead and click back and go back again. And from here, I'm going to click the home on the remote. That's going to take us back to the main homepage. Now, if you want to quickly access some of those settings, you can hit the wrench icon at the top right of the remote, and that's going to bring up this menu at the bottom. Now here we can quickly change from our different picture modes such as vivid, standard, cinema, professional. So to me, when I'm watching a movie, this is a great feature that I can quickly pop up this while I'm watching the movie. And like I said, I'm either switching from standard or cinema. As you can even see here, standard is going to be more cool, more bluish in tint, but it tends to be a little bit more vibrant, and I found that it's got quite a bit more contrast in it. But sometimes that's too much, and I'll show you an example of that in a little bit. If I hit the wrench icon again, we can change it to cinema, and you can just see it gets more warm than on standard. Over here, you can adjust your brightness. I think by default, it was somewhere down here around 30 or 35, so I bumped that up quite a bit to max, making sure power saving is turned off. But this menu just allows us to quickly make some changes if we need to do that. Now, of course, if you're watching HDR content, you can actually have different presets for HDR versus SDR content. Now, I'm going to go into YouTube. I'm not going to be able to play it because of copyright, but I want to show you somebody that I found that I think is super, super cool. I'm going to come over here to Library, and let's go to Playlist. And if I go into 4K and 8K demos, I want you to check out Jennifer Gala. I first heard about her from Stop the FOMO, and I know he uses a lot in his videos, her content, but definitely go check out her channel. She's got some really gorgeous and really cool videos there, and you can see the one below this, the Dolby Vision 60 to 120 FPS consumer calibration tool. That is really, really cool, and just makes the BRAVIA 9 just does an excellent job in displaying that. Just really, really vivid colors, super dark, rich blacks, just looks phenomenal. But go check her out. I'll leave a link in the description below. But what I want to do is I'm going to switch over to a thumb drive. I've got a thumb drive plugged in. So on the remote, I'm going to hit the button right below TV. That's your input. And then we're going to navigate down here to USB drive. I'll click OK. And then I've just got some stock footage right here. So while this is playing, I just want to share with you some of the things that I've experienced in watching different movies and different content on the BRAVIA 9. First of all, it's a pretty bright image. Once you turn off eco mode and set up your SDR settings, SDR looks great. Out of the box, the visuals on HDR were stunning. I've never actually seen in my home an image that looked so vibrant, so like almost three-dimensional. Colors really pop. There's a lot of separation due to the high contrast of this TV, so that the brights are bright, the darks are dark without being blown out in the highlights and without the blacks being super crushed. So the skin tones on here just look really, really natural on her arms, on her face. Doesn't look like some TVs, they'll push the reds a lot. And again, it just looks really, really nice. But here the flowers are just really, really vivid and super, super detailed. Even in the middle of the flame, you're still seeing detail from that. The white part of the flame isn't overly blown out. And then here, just a massively bright image. For some reason, this is one of my favorite clips of this scene. Just very, very detailed. You get to see like all the intricate pieces of the water droplets here. The blacks are really black on this TV, but then you've got this really, really bright inside of that orange. But overall, man, I'm just loving what I'm seeing on this BRAVIA 9. Super, super bright. Whether I've got the lights on, right now it's pretty late in the evening, so the room is dark. I tried to set the camera up to where you could see the like my entertainment center, but my camera doesn't have enough dynamic range to be able to capture the TV and have the room lit up. It just always looked goofy, so this is about the only way I know how to do it. So in my room, you can see that I've got a really large triple sliding glass door that lets in a lot of ambient light. But here you can see on SDR content, we've still got plenty of brightness here on the screen for us to be able to enjoy the TV watching during daylight hours. You can also see we have a lot of ambient light over here to the right, as well as I've got the lights on in the room, and the TV is still plenty bright. Now with those lights on, you can see the reflection right there. And so just know that this isn't going to be 100% anti-glare, but there is an anti-glare film on there. Might be a little difficult to see, but those lines right there sometimes look like a rainbow effect. And so just know that going into it. Now I shared with you earlier that you've got different profiles that you can pull up. So I'm going to hit the wrench icon, and right here you can see we're on standard. If I switch to cinema, you'll see the image gets quite a bit warmer. One other difference that I see in this is on standard, like these rocks look really, really sharp, almost somewhat artificial. Cinema is going to give you a more natural appeal. So again, that's just a preference. Do you want to see every tiny detail, every crack, or do you prefer a more cinematic approach that's a little bit softer around the edges? One area that you can really see this is if you're looking at like hair on an animal. So let me fast forward here to the tiger. All right, so here we have a tiger on the scene. I just hit pause on the video. We're gonna hit the wrench, and I wanna switch back and forth between standard and cinema. So here in standard mode, might be a little difficult to see on the camera, but his whiskers and his hair right in here are just really, really defined. You can see like every really small piece of hair on the tiger. But then if I hit the wrench and go to cinema, not only do we get a warmer image across here, but this just gets more kind of soft around these edges. There's not as much sharpening, there's not as much contrast. And so again, that's just going to depend on what you prefer. Do you like that really crisp, almost 3D pop, or do you like a more natural cinematic look? Again, on this one right here, if I do standard, you can see the clouds just turn really, really blue, versus on cinema, it's more just of a natural blue. But overall, blacks are really black. Now, of course, they're not 100% OLED black because we can't turn off individual pixels. You have these dimming zones that's going to prevent that. But man, it's just got a great amount of contrast, really deep blacks, rich colors, and just an overall really stunning image. Now, one pretty cool feature is if you lose your remote and you can't find it, if you reach back here on the menu, the very top button is the power button. If you hit it once, it's going to bring up this menu. Keep tapping it till you get all the way to the end, and it says find remote, and then press and hold that button. Now it's going to take a few seconds, but it's going to find the remote by sending a tone through the remote, and that'll play for a couple of minutes until you actually hit a button on the remote. So if you're looking around your house going, all right, where did the kid leave it? Where did it drop in the couch cushion? You can find it right here. So it's playing a sound, it's starting to illuminate, and then you just press any of these buttons to stop that. So that's definitely pretty cool. Now, a couple of quick things that you might want to do on the Google TV. If you come down here to your apps, of course, you can come all the way to the right, and we can click reorder. And then let's say, for instance, you wanted to move YouTube Music over to the left. So you just press OK, and then you can move it wherever you want. And when you get it to where you want, you press OK again. So that allows you to put all of the apps that you want and use the most in the order that you use the most. And when you're done, you can come down here and hit done. If you want to add more apps to that row, we can come all the way over to the right and we can click add apps. Actually, let's go ahead and click done. Then it'll let us add apps. And here you can search for apps, you can add games and different things, or you can just scroll down. Let's say you're interested in music, and then you may want to add Pandora, Cirrus, and so forth. So you can add any of these. Maybe you've got Tidal. If I click OK, it's going to say, do you want to install it? It'll install it. And then you can add that and put it in whatever order you want on that menu. A couple other things. If I hit the wrench icon and navigate over to the right, let's go all the way till we see power on behavior. When I click OK, it gives us two options. When the TV powers on, you can either have it set to go to the Google TV homepage, or you can change it to open up the last input, the last used input, where this would be beneficial. Let's say you almost always use your Apple TV 4K, or maybe you have Kaleidescape connected to your TV. And that's typically how you watch movies, and maybe every once in a while you may want to switch back over to the Google TV home screen. So that would be an instance that you would want to set this to last used input. So that's a good option there, just something to note. So while we're in this menu, you can see we've got a bunch of different things on here: alarm, timer. Let's say I never use those. You can actually edit this menu by going all the way to the far right, clicking edit. Then it's going to allow you to turn on and turn off the things that you want or don't want. So let's say, for instance, I do not want to have the eco dashboard on here because I'm never going to turn those back on. We can go ahead and uncheck that. Same thing, parental control, sleep timer. I never need a sleep timer, and I never really need a timer, and I don't even need an alarm. So I'm going to turn all of those off, and then we'll come down here and click close. So now you can see this cleans up this menu quite a bit, and so you can customize this to your liking. The BRAVIA 9 does include Google Assistance, and so there's two ways to access that. The first way is through the remote. In the middle of the remote, there's an icon that looks like a microphone. If you press and hold that, you can tell it to open up Amazon Prime or to watch something specific on YouTube. And so we're going to press and hold it, and we'll say a command. Watch Top Gun Maverick on Amazon Prime.
Got it. Here's Top Gun Maverick on Prime Video.
So that's going to pull it up, and of course it's going to ask me, since we've got multiple profiles, we need to select one. So if I click Michael, it's going to load Top Gun Maverick for us. So I'm already at the end of the movie, so we'll go ahead and back up for that. Now the second way you may not realize is you can do it without the remote. And so the first thing we need to do is on the back of the TV, there's a switch. So we need to turn that switch up on the BRAVIA 9, and that's going to enable the microphone that's built into the TV. The next thing we need to do is actually enable the setting within the TV itself. So we're going to click and hold the home button on the remote, click OK for all settings, come down to privacy, I'm going to navigate over and then down to Google Assistant. So once we hit to the right, now we need to enable this hands-free mic. And so now we can use voice commands without the need of the remote. Here's just a reminder of where that switch is. You'll need to make sure that that is pointed up. You may have placed that cover over your HDMI switches. If you did, you'll need to remove that first. So we'll click Next. And on this screen, it shows you some different things you can do, like turn on and off the TV, turn the volume up and down, mute the sound, open Netflix, and so forth. So we'll click next. We'll click next, and then we'll click OK. So now we're all set, so we'll click done, and I'm just going to hit home for right now. So now let's test this out. We'll turn the TV off. Hey Google, turn off TV. And the TV is now off. So again, you don't have to press and hold the remote. So as you can see, the remote is placed down right here. And I'll just say, hey Google, turn on TV.
Device hasn't been set up yet.
Uh-oh, so it doesn't like that for some reason. Let's turn it back on. Now this was a little finicky for me. Sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. So for example, I can turn the TV on right now. Hey Google, turn the TV on. And it'll turn the TV on. If I give it a few moments, let it kind of boot up. If I tell it to turn off, it says that it's turning off, but it never turns off. So I don't know if that's an issue within the Google TV app itself, or if that is an issue with the TV. So let's try to turn it off. Hey Google, turn off the TV. So it says it's turning off the TV. It kind of pauses for just a few seconds, but then it just turns right back on. It stays on. So not sure what exactly is going on there. Now, over the past few weeks, I've been incredibly impressed with the BRAVIA 9. It's just a beautiful image, very fast processing. I really like the menu layout and the features that it offers, but I also am just mostly impressed in a living room environment that has a lot of ambient light. It really shines. It's got a beautiful image, both in SDR, but especially in HDR content. Images just pop. It's got amazing color saturation, and I'm just overall really, really impressed. Now, of course, I'll leave a link down in the description below for the BRAVIA 9 series. So you've got a 65-inch, 75-inch, as well as the 85 that I've got in my living room. And then in a future video, like I mentioned at the beginning, I'll be reviewing the Theater Quad along with the SW5 subwoofer. Well, let me know down in the comments your thoughts on the BRAVIA 9. Is this something that you'd consider for your home? Do you already own it? Or is this a pass for you? Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. God bless, and I'll catch you in the next one.